Hi everyone, welcome back to the Dr. Siad channel. In the video here today, I'm going to be responding to yet another request by one of the viewers here for me to clarify the differences between the terms that I use for attachment and some of the other terms that you might have heard out there, like fearful, avoidant, and preoccupied, and so on and so forth. And I agree with the viewer, it's kind of confusing. So, let's clarify that here right now. Let's get started. So look, the terms that I use here to describe the different types of attachment are developed by Ainsworth and Bowlby. Now, this is research that the definitions are based on research that they've done in children. I mean, this is the original attachment theory, if you will, with the original terms. Now, then, subsequent to this, fast forward some years, and other groups of researchers try to determine if attachment is a thing in adults as well. If these terms that we use to describe attachment, secure, avoidant, ambivalent, and disorganized, if they are a thing in adults too. Now, as they do that, they realize, they detect, yes, they are a thing in adults as well. They happen for adults as well. There are adults who tend to be secure in relationships, or avoidant, or ambivalent, or disorganized in adult relationships. Now here they go and complicate the matter by, instead of using the same terms, they see these slight differences between how children are attached and adults are attached. And it's like, yeah, well, no wonder, obviously, we have children and then we have adults. But then they go ahead and change the terms. Rather than just calling it secure, avoidant, ambivalent, and disorganized, so that you can have a consistency in the literature, they go ahead and call it different things. Now, often this happens in researchers and by researchers. They feel the urge to call it something else because they think they made the world's biggest discovery, or because they want to be able to own it and say, I discovered that. There's kind of a lot of neologisms going on there. And this has been going on for ages. So if you're a researcher out there, I don't blame you, whatever. Let's just keep moving on, all right? Just leave it, okay? So it's like, so then what they've done is they've just caused a bunch of confusion for us, the people who are not involved in the literature. I say us, I am involved in the literature, but for us, the public, in a sense, they then go ahead and confuse us because we can't just read about secure attachment then from children to adults. Then it's like, well, is it the same term? Is secure in children the same as secure in adults? But if kids can have avoidant, then how comes adults have, some other words attached to them? So let's just clear that out right now, all right? Secure in children is equivalent to secure in adults. So if you see literature talking about secure in children, it's talking about the same thing that we then expect to see in adults, also again called secure. Now, if you see dismissive avoidant or avoidant dismissive, that's just referring to avoidant attachment. Same as in children, but it's just referring to the idea that the person who's avoidant is dismissive. I don't know why they had to add the dismissive bit. Anyway, it just refers to the idea that, yes, I think that, I have kind of a better view of myself than I do of others. I think that I should be able to do it. I should do it all myself. I should be capable to take care of myself. No one else can. So it's that avoidant, right? Now, then we have the... what do we have? Okay, so we had secure, we have avoidant, then we have preoccupied, anxious preoccupied. And so anxious preoccupied is basically the equivalent of ambivalent, right? So it's basically just saying that the person is anxious and they're preoccupied with the other person. So they think poorly of themselves and they're kind of preoccupied on the other person taking care of them. So they're anxious and they're preoccupied with another person. That's equivalent, it's the same thing as ambivalent attachment, right? So if you hear anxious preoccupied, that's ambivalent. What do we have so far? Secure equals secure. Dismissive avoidant equals avoidant. Anxious preoccupied equals ambivalent. And then you have fearful avoidant. Fearful avoidant. And that one is equivalent to disorganized. Disorganized attachment. And what are we basically just trying to say with fearful avoidant? We're trying to say we avoid people with fearful, avoidant, or disorganized. If people are avoided, it's not because they have such a rosy picture of themselves, not because they think that they can do this themselves. It's just because they think they can't do it and no one else can do it. But the best, kind of safest way is to just try to stay away from people as best possible. Now, that's really all these are. So if you hear secure, think about secure in children and adults the same. If you hear avoidant, think about avoidant dismissive, same as in avoidant in children. If you think about ambivalent in children, think anxious preoccupied. And if you hear fearful, dismissive, or fearful, avoidant, or fearful, something fearful in the avoidant word there, then think disorganized. All right, so I hope this helps clarify all that. So I will keep calling it secure, avoidant, ambivalent, and disorganized. I think that's the way it should have been in the beginning. I don't like that researchers try to throw in their own words because they think this word describes it so perfectly well. But no, look, like it just causes confusion. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you again for the next one.